It is the 11th of February, Rabbi Furst, Parsha Hashavua, Tetzave. Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Amori.
Shalom, good morning, Lou. Good morning, Barry. How's everyone today?
Baruch Hashem.
Very good. I haven't forgotten about what you sent me last week. I just have been extra busy, and I've been reading it over and doing a little work on it. So, Blinader, I'll try and give you I'll write to you, or we'll talk on the phone about it a little bit, maybe next week, Be'ezras Hashem, Blinader.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really would like to discuss it with you. So,
yeah, sure.
That'd be great.
So, I want to just read it over one more time, and I want to see if I can look one or two things up if I can, and then maybe we can have a little conversation later on next week sometime. Fine. Good. Okay. So, yes, good morning. This is Erev Shabbos, Parshas Tetzave, Shana Tavshin Pei Beis, Yeshiva Samanavshi here in Yerushalayim, care of Zoom. Rabbi Shlomo Furst and our Talmidim here for the Parsha Hashavua. We'll be learning, starting, I think we'll pick on Parsha in chapter Chavtet. Chapter Chavtet. There's a Lamed Hey. There's a couple of Rashis I'd like to discuss in Pasuk Lamed Hey and Lamed Vav.
Lamed Hey and Lamed Vav. Okay.
Yeah.
Sisa la'aron u'levanov.
Yes, exactly. You'd like to read the pasuk there, Barry? You can do it.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Sisa.
That's Lamed Vav. You want to start at Lamed Hey?
Lamed Hey, right? Lamed Hey.
Lamed Hey.
Yeah, Lamed Hey.
Sisa la'aron u'levanov.
No, that's Lamed Vav.
Really? 1 second. You want to double check, Lou? Lamed Vasisa la'aron u'levanov. Kacha?
No.
Lamed Hey is 35, right?
Correct.
So it says, it shall be on Vahaya al Aharon.
I don't know where you are.
Am I in the wrong chapter?
Chapter 29, chapter Chavtet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem.
Don't let it happen again, please.
It's funny because what he read matched up with Lamed Vav. That was weird.
That's funny. Wow.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
My
You
bad.
ready now? Okay. Vasisa la'aron or levanov, and you shall do to Aaron and his sons kacha l'chol asher tziviti, everything that I have commanded you. Otacha shivas yomim temale yadam. Do everything I commanded you for 7 days. Tamale yadam, and then you shall inaugurate them.
Tamale, well, that's how they did. They
Tamale.
translate Tamale Yadam.
Yeah, tamale yadam means male is like complete.
Right. Exactly.
Tamale, so you're completing their transformation into Kahanim.
Yeah, that's part of the question here. Tamale Yadam. Shivas Yamim Tikarev Kurbanon. If you look at the Targum, it means that the 7 days Tikarev Kurbanon. They shall offer their sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yadam actually means hands,
Literally,
right?
Literally. Right.
So you're completing their hands for which they're going to conduct the all of the practices.
Right. I mean, what they need to accomplish will be accomplished. Right. They'll need to
Right.
accomplish everything they have to accomplish.
It'll be, their hands will be complete. I mean, that's, figuratively speaking.
Right.
In other words, this is referring to the initial set of carbonos that they brought in order for them to complete their ascension to the kahuna.
Right.
Yeah,
this
but
is
they
just-
repeated it for 7 days in a row.
Right. These were the things that they needed to do, right, in order to initiate them into the service, into the kahuna,
Right.
and to activate the base the mishkan, right? They were activating the mishkan, and it could be, if you want, jump back to to Pasuk Lamed.
But just
Lamed.
before we do that, I have one other question, and that is, who is doing it? Because it says you
Moshe
shall do
Rabbeinu.
this to Aaron, and then it says Yadam, their hands. So
Right.
is Moshe doing it or is Aaron doing it?
No, Moshe's doing it for their hands.
I'm
Aaron's
asking the
hands.
rabbi.
Oh, excuse me. See,
Yeah.
but I was reading, so I thought I could help out.
Okay, so like Moshe Rabbeinu was like the supervisor. He was acting during these 7 days. He was really acting as like the Kohen Gadol. He was
Right.
the here, look at go back. There's a Rashi in Pasuk Chav Daled. Go back to Pasuk Chav Daled.
Yeah. V'samta l'kol al kape.
Yeah, go ahead. Right.
Okay.
Copy.
Aaron v'al kape banav. So you're going to put the matzahs and the oil and all that on their hands. V'henafta asam, and you'll wave them around.
Right.
Tenufa lifnei Hashem, like a waving in front of Hashem.
Right.
Wow.
So now look. Right. So now look at Rashi. Look at Rashi here. Chav Daled.
Okay.
Al
Al
Kapi Aaron.
kape Aaron, it said the nafta. Okay. On the palms of Aaron you shall wave. Shenehem asukim batnufa. Both of them are engaged in the waving. Haba'alim v'hakohen, the owner and the kohen. So they're facing each other and they're putting their hands on the etc. on the platter. Ha ketzad, how is this done? Kohen maniach yada tachas yada haba'alim. The kohen puts his hands under the hands of the owners, umanith, and they wave it together.
Very good.
Uvaz hoya Aaron uvanov. This is the offering of Aaron and his sons.
Yeah. Ubazeh hayu Aaron ubanav bailim, and in this action,
Oh, they were the owners. Moshe Kohen, and Moshe was the Kohen.
right? So you see, Moshe was officiating as a Kohen during these initial activations of the Mishkan and the inauguration of Aaron and his sons.
Right.
So when it says Yadam, it's referring to the hands of Moshe and the hands of Aaron, correct?
So that's when it's talking about the Tenufa, right? That's talking about the Tenufa. There were other things that were taking place here as well. So each thing has to be analyzed in and of itself. Exactly what was being done by Moshe in place of the Kohen, and what was done by Aaron and his sons. But basically, Aaron and his sons were basically somewhat passive here, because they were the ones that had to be initiated. Meaning they had no powers as Kohanim yet, right?
Right.
So that's just one instance where Moshe, Rashi says specifically that Moshe was acting as the Kohen, and Aaron and his sons were the Bailing, were acting the ones bringing the offering, because that's what they were involved with over here. I'm just so now let's go back to our original pasuk here, right? That original pasuk that was
Lamed Hey.
yes, Lamed Hey.
Okay, Vasita la'Aaron u'levonav, and you shall do to Aaron and to his sons, kacha kechol asher tzivisi, everything that I'm commanding you, atocha shives yomim tamale yadam. So here it's referring to Aaron and his sons' hands, yadam, theirs, but not including Moshe's hands.
Right,
Okay,
right,
we clear on that? Okay.
right. So, and also I want to point out another Rashi. This would be in that would be in pasuk, I think Chaf Beis. 1 second. Chaf Beis. Let me just check here. No, it's Chaf Beis. Yeah.
In Teruma?
No. Boy, no, right over here in Chaf Tes in pasuk Chaf.
Oh, Pasuk Bays?
Right, pasuk Chaf Beis. Chaf Beis. 25 to 20. No, 20. Chapter 29, verse 22. Chaf Beis.
22. Okay, gotcha. All right. Chaf Bays. It's a long one. Okay. So you want to do the pasuk or the Rashi?
Yeah, no, let's do the pasuk first. Have to understand the pasuk a little bit first, then we'll see the Rashi.
Kachta min ha'ayil, and you should take from the ayil hachelev va'alya, the fat and the fat tail.
They're right. The chalev and the aliyah, right? The fat tail, good.
The et, and also hachelev hamachase et hakerev, and the fat that's on the inside.
Right.
Around the organs, I guess.
Right. That covers hamakasa, that covers the kerev. That could be like the diaphragm, the
liver and all that.
Right. That's the uterus kaved.
Yeah.
That's the section there by the liver kaved. Ves shtei klayos.
The es hateres hakaved, the es shtei haklois.
The klayos, the two kidneys.
The kidneys.
Right.
The es hachelev asher alehen, and the fats that are on them. The es shok hayamin, and the right thigh. Ki ayil miluim hu, because this is the ram of Meluyim. I don't know what that means. Meluyim, the lamb of perfection, but I don't know what that means. Lamb of perfection.
Well, Meluyim, we're gonna see that was also, if you remember, that was also part of our original pasuk, also, right? If you remember that
Lamale,
right? That Timale Yadam, right? So here is Ki Ayel Miluimu. It's the Ayel Miluimu. So if you look at the Rashi, jump to the middle of. I don't want to do the beginning part of the Rashi. It'll be more detailed than I want to do in that. I want to Ki Ayel Miluimu. You see what Rashi says there?
On Chaf Beis.
On Chaf Beis, right?
Ki, we're doing Ki El Miluim. Okay.
That's right.
Ki El Miluim hu. It's the ram of perfection. Shalomim. Okay. The word Meluyim is used here, means the same as the word Shalomim.
Yeah, meaning it could mean can mean perfection or completeness. It's the that's what's making the completion here.
Right.
This,
Lashon Shalemos.
right.
Shehu Shlam Bakol. So it's an expression of completeness, for it is complete in all respects. Magid Hakosov, the pasuk tells us, Shahamiluyim Shalamim, that the Miluyim are offerings brought as part of the Kohanim's inauguration were peace offerings.
Right, that's right. Very good.
Which are Shalom Lemizbeach Uleoved Ha'avoda Shebalim. It's complete for the Mizbeach.
Well, here it means slumming. Shemacing shalom. It makes peace. It makes peace. The mizbeach, for the mizbeach, will oived ha'avoda, and the one who's doing the avoda, and the bailim and the owners. Why? Meaning, what? This is mentioned later on in other places as well. Why is the slumming offering mentioned to be a slumming? Because it makes shalom between the mizbeach and the one who's offering the korban, meaning the kohen, and the bailim, the one who owns the korban. That because the shlomim, everyone gets a chelek. Part of the korban goes and is burnt on the mizbeach. Part of the korban is given to the kohen, and part of the korban is given to the original bailim. So it means everybody's happy. Everyone gets a portion. So therefore, it's called a shloming. I mean, in contrast to other korbanos like an oiler and a chatas, the oiler is completely burned on the mizbeach, right? So there's only a portion for the mizbeach there, not a portion for the kohen and the Israel or the bailim. But here, the shlomim, everyone gets a portion. The mizbeach, the owner, and also the one who's doing the avoda. So Rashi says over here, right? Shemeisim, it's called shlomim. The meluim was shlomim. Shemeisim shalom the mizbeach, la'oived ha'avoda, the one who's doing the avoda, will buy them, and the ones that were the owners. L'kach, go ahead.
Let's see where we are here. Where are we?
In the middle of that Rashi there.
Tanufa?
No. In the Rashi and Chav base, that Rashi, Kim Ayel Meluim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ulekach ani.
Yes.
Ulekach ani mitzricha lachaze liois lo laoved oavoida lamana. It's for this reason that I require its breast be apportioned for him who performs the ceremony. What's the significance of the chaza?
That's the portion that the one who does the avoda gets.
The Kohen gets that.
Yeah. Well, but not in this case, as we'll see. The Aaron was the Kohen, but they weren't Kohanim yet, right? They were still
okay.
They were still being initiated. They were still being ordered.
Moshe. Oh, so in this case, Aaron was the Balim, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Zehu Moshe Shishimesh b'miloyim. So it was Moshe who conducted the ceremony.
Right.
Ah.
Right.
Okay.
Just finish the Rashi there. Good.
Hashavua ochla Aaron the Uvanav Shehem Ba'alim. So Aaron and his sons were the owners, the Balim.
That's right.
Kimeforosh Be'inyan. So as it says straight out.
Right.
Kimeforish. Yeah.
That meaning the whole context of what's being talked about here, you understand that Moshe is the Kohen and Aaron and his sons are the Bailim.
Right.
So Okay, so you see that clearly Moshe's acting as the Kohen here, and he's now officiated, and because there's no one else to officiate yet, no one else is a Kohen at this point. So Kadosh Baruch Hu commanded Moshe that he should be the officiating um, Kohen, so to speak, for the Menuhin. Oh,
So I
okay.
wonder, I've heard in the Midrash that originally Moshe was slated to be the Kohen Gadol also, but when he argued with Hashem, Hashem changed it and made it that Aaron would be the Kohen Gadol. I'm just wondering if the original plan went through and Moshe was the Kohen Gadol, then they wouldn't have been able to do this procedure.
Well, I mean, Aaron could have been the officiating officiator. I mean, that really Hashem could have appointed anybody to do it. Not that. I mean, obviously, you would probably assume that it would be the most qualified and the most knowledgeable and the most respected person to do it. But Kadosh Baruch Hu could probably, allow anybody to actually do it. It was because at this point it was simply the initiation of the Kuna, the initiation of the Mishkan. So it wasn't something which was a given that someone would be doing the avoda. There was no one to do the avoda. So Hashem really could have probably appointed anybody.
I see.
Aaron and Moshe could have had reversed roles.
Yeah, it could have been. As a matter of fact, that's original. That's what
Moshe wanted, right?
Well, I mean,
didn't Moshe say, "Take my my brother? He's older and he's smarter and he's better looking." And
that's the Rashi. That's the Rashi's there explain that in Shmos, in Parsha Shmos. Right. Correct. Very right. Very true. Very very true. True. Okay. So let's go back to our original pasuk, Lamed Hey. It was, if I'm mistaken.
Yeah. All right. So I think So you want to do the Rashi on that?
Right. So Rashi said we were just starting the Rashi here. So who should do this to Aaron, his sons? Thusly, that's Moshe Rabbeinu, as we pointed out just now.
Shana Hakasuv what is that above? Chafil la'avav. So the verse repeats to.
Right. And if you notice, there's a somewhat of a repetition.
Yeah.
Right. Right. There's somewhat of a repetition in the pasuk.
Right.
That Asisa Alam Kocha. Right. So why is it repeated? So Rashi is explaining
that the verse repeats Shana Bekasuv.
That's right.
Yeah, the pasuk is written twice. Uvefal la'aviv, to disqualify.
Right, la'akev. Right, la'akev is going to disqualify. I mean, if it's
to push it off.
Yeah, to nullify it. Yeah, to nullify it. Why? Rashi explains. What would nullify? What would nullify this? Rashi explains.
She'im, he said, davar echad, that if he left out a single item, mikol ha'omor be'inyan, that if he left out anything that had been said concerning this, lo nismalo yedehem, they would have not been complete. It wouldn't have been completed. Their hands wouldn't have been completed. It wouldn't have been the proper procedure. Li'ois kohanim la'avodatam. It wouldn't have been, they wouldn't have been correctly inaugurated to be the Kohanim.
Right.
And, yeah.
If anything had been lacking in what was prescribed to be done, that would have nullified the whole attempt to inaugurate Aaron and his sons as being Kohanim.
Whoa.
So wasn't it's not simply ideas which are nice things to do, and if you don't do it, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's
These weren't suggestions.
no, like when you're supposed to follow a recipe, Barry, for a cake, right?
Yes. Oh,
If it says to put in flour and you don't put in the flour, you're not going to get a cake. If you're supposed to put in
right.
baking soda and don't put the baking soda, you're not going to get the cake, right?
Yeah. I thought there's in the kitchens in Penn, when I was the mashgiach, we had a chef, the head chef of the whole university. He could come in and taste the soup that one of the workers was making, and he could tell him which of the spices he left out that he cheated on. And there would be 5 or 6 spices. And he would say, you left out the, and he would be right, you left out the oregano or whatever. So, so this is similar.
Right. Very true. Very true.
It wasn't the potato soup or whatever.
Right. If this is the prescription, you have to follow the prescription.
Exactly.
Very good. Okay, let's see the next the Lotimal, right? La'akev, right? So
We're in there.
just finishing up that Rashi, right? I just want to repeat it. She'im chesa dav rechad mikol ha'omor b'inyan. If anything is lacking in what was said in this respect for this thing, lo dismalo yadayim, their hands would not be mismalo yadayim. They wouldn't be fulfilled. They wouldn't be completing their inauguration. The Yos Kohanim, to be Kohanim, of Avodah Pasula, and that would make all their Avodah Pasula.
Now, I mean, if that would have happened, so what does that mean? They only had one shot, or they just have to start all over again? In other words, if on the 5th day they messed up, so what would they do? They'd have to start over the 7 days, or would they not have another chance?
I'm not sure. That's a very good question. I haven't seen any discussion about that, but you can look at it 2 ways. One, maybe if they missed something on the 5th day, as you suggested, that could be mainly just that you miss up the 5th day, and just instead of the 6th day being the 6th, the 6th day is going to be a repeat of the 5th. Or maybe not. Maybe you have to go back and do the whole thing all
7 days,
again. Yeah.
Or maybe they're out.
Yeah. Maybe if you don't get it right the first time, shoot first or forever hold your peace.
Yeah. Then they have to put an ad in the Jewish press for a Kohen or something.
Yeah, that's right. Bezrat Hashem. So apparently they got it right. They did everything properly, and I think the pasuk actually says that. Yeah.
Amazing.
Let's take a look now in the next pasuk, Lamed Vav.
Lamed Vav. Okay. Upar hachata, and the par for the chata, for the sin offering, ta'aseh liyom al ha-kippurim. You should prepare it for the day of the forgiveness, for the cleanings.
Right.
Okay.
For the atonement. Right. So
Atonement. V'chitesa al hamizbeach v'tapircha alav. Okay, and umashachta also the kacho, and you shall pour oil on it and make it kodesh and make it holy.
Right.
So the mizbeach also was part of this deal.
Right. They would not simply themselves being inaugurated, but they were initiating, inaugurated the kalim of the base of Mikdash as well, meaning they wanted to activate the mizbeach. So again, let's repeat the pasuk. Just read it in English. You don't have to read it in Hebrew. Let's just understand what the Pashat understanding of the pasuk means. Shivas here that the Parsha tasa yom al kippurim.
So you bring the bull, the bull sin offering for the Day of Atonement. V'chitasa al hamizbeach, and you shall make the mizbeach pure. V'chapercha, when you cleanse it, alav. Umeshachta, and you shall anoint it also lekadsho, and you shall anoint it to make it holy.
Very good. Right. Now let's look at Rashi. He's going to explain here.
Okay. Lamed Vav. Upar chatas ta'asa, a bull sin offering shall you make. L'chol yom, each day. Oh, see, okay, each day, right.
Right.
All
This
right.
was repeated each of the 7 days. This was repeated the 7
Right.
days.
Yeah. Okay. That wasn't clear from the pasuk itself. Al Akipurim, for the cleansings. Bishvil Akipurim, for the purposes for the purposes of the cleansings. The kaper al hamizbeach, to cleanse the mizbeach. Mikol zoros v'tiyov, to cleanse the mizbeach of any alienism and repugnance. Okay. Ulefi, because shenamar, because it says shivat yomim tamale yadam, because it says for a 7-day period you shall inaugurate them. Ein li ella devar haba bishvilam. I only know for that which comes from the inauguration of the Kahanim themselves. Kigon ha'elim ha'leim, such as the rams and the breads offered on each of the 7 days. Avol haba bishvil hamizbeach, but that which comes for the mizbeach, Kigon par, like the par shehu the chatu the mizbeach, which is for the purification of the mizbeach. Lo shemanu, we didn't learn this.
Right.
L'chach, okay, l'chach, therefore, hatzreich mikra zeh. That's why we need this pasuk to make it very clear. Umidrash Toras, and in the Midrash Torash, it says,
That's Torah. Umidrash Torah's Kohanim. That's the Midrash in Parsha
that goes together.
Right.
Midrash Torah's Kohanim, and in the Midrash Torah's Kohanim, it says, Kapares Hamizbeach Hatzricha. The atonement for the mizbeach was necessary. Tzricha.
Yeah, I mean, this is the question. Why was it needed? For what reason was it needed a kapara for the mizbeach?
And this is the answer. Shema, because at the nodev ish devar gazla, because someone may have donated a stolen item. B'melachta b'melaches hamishkan hamizbeach, because it might be that a person donated a stolen item towards the work of the Mishkan and the Mizbeach.
Right.
Okay.
So, right. So that's what I want to try and speak a little bit about here. I mean, we have to try and understand this. It was obviously a concern that someone in his donations to the Mizbeach and for the building of the Mishkan gave something that didn't belong to him.
Even
So,
B'shogeg.
yeah, I guess even b'shogeg, the law was meaning if that whatever item he gave was really not his, so he was giving something that didn't belong to him, and for that reason there needed to be a chatas, a sin offering for the mizbeach, and then ostensibly that would also cover the mishkan as well.
Wow.
So, question is, I mean, we have to, when you try and understand and look at this question of the concern, what right do we have to think that, I mean, the Torah is saying this is the Kadosh Baruch Hu's concern, right? This is not a concern that Moshe Rabbeinu had. He didn't make this up. This is a concern that the Rabboni Shalom had. So I'm just wondering. First of all, Hashem knows. So is Rashi simply telling us a concern that was real? I mean, let me put it this way: the concern was obviously real, right? But can we really imagine that someone would? I mean, you, Barak, brought up the question. There was shogeg, meaning you would think that no one intentionally would ever give something that was stolen for the Mishkan, huh?
Well, I mean, they were on such a high madrega that they wouldn't think of doing something like that. But they could make a mistake. But I mean, and also because we learned also that when they came out of the Yam Suf, etc., they all collected all those riches. So nobody really had a need, to go steal something, because they all had plenty of diamonds and rubies and gold and silver, and so they apparently if they were all wealthy, they wouldn't have a need to go
So that's exactly the point. The point was, even though they were wealthy, nevertheless, there's still a suspicion. There's still a concern that they might steal, even though they're wealthy.
Wow.
Right?
Because they were jealous. Even though they had money, they were jealous of somebody else.
Could be.
I guess.
I mean, it's in a certain way. Lou, does that sound reasonable to you, Lou?
Well, I'm just thinking about, at I, where there was a punishment because somebody took something that he shouldn't have. And,
right.
They were in the desert for all those years. So all that wealth, I would think they still had, although they donated a lot of it to the Mishkan. So I don't know, maybe it's not comparable, but it seems odd that somebody would go and take something, in that environment. But nevertheless, we know that he did.
Right. That you're speaking about Aachen. Aachen, there was a cherem, a quarantine, that constriction that Yeshua made on all the belongings that were in the city of Jericho after the conquest of Jericho. Yeshua, but I think even before they actually conquered it, he said to Kadosh Baruch Hu, they're not going to take anything. That we should only want to do it for the sake of conquering these people, so we should be able to enter into Eretz Israel. Not that we should conquer it in order that we should get rich and fill up ourselves with the booty and the loot from the conquest of Jericho. So Yeshua made a cherem, a ban on all the money and belongings, properties of the people in the city of Jericho. And Achain, as you mentioned, he was the one person who violated that ban. And because of that, there were several people who died in the next battle when they moved on to the next city. And it was an amazing thing, a very shocking thing, that there were people dying in their conquest of Eretz Israel. That was not really supposed to happen. Very surprised thing, that the shocking thing that happened. And therefore they discovered the reason for that was because, in fact, there was a violation of the ban. And so therefore, another example, even though you see that they obviously had great wealth from what they came out of Mitzrayim with and what they got further, they say that the amount that they gained at the Yam was even greater than the amount that they took out with them from Mitzrayim. And there was really not much to do with all that money, gold, and silver, and jewels, all the clothes and everything, whatever they took out. It's really not much to do with it when they were in the Midbar. But nevertheless, you see that Chazal say it in an expression as follows. You might have heard it. Mishiyesh lo mana rotze mesayim. Someone who has 100, he wants 200. Meaning, they said in a different way. Misha rotze kesef lo maspia kesef. A person who wants money won't be satisfied with money. Meaning, the midah, when you're understanding that there's a midah involved, that there's a certain personality trait which is involved, which is called chemdis mammon, the desire for mammon, that desire for material wealth. Good morning, Roy.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're discussing the desire for wealth. That Chazal say, Misha rotze money lo Misha rotze kesef lo yispe kesef. Me who desires money won't be satisfied with money. Misha yesh mana yesh rotze masayim. A person who has 100, say $100, he won't be satisfied until he gets 200. And then when he gets 200, he won't be satisfied until he gets 400. So it's exponential in the desire, meaning there's no satisfaction when it comes to money. A person always wants more and more and more. So therefore, even in a situation where Klal Yisrael were in the Midbar and they were wealthy beyond what we could even imagine, and they had everything, all their needs taken care of for them, so they didn't have any need to spend money. Nevertheless, there was a concern that they would be stealing from one another, which is an amazing thing. That we see that having material wealth and material satisfaction will not stop a person from wanting more unless he actually works and tries to control and manage his midos, his personality traits. Because that's what, it's not the material wealth that a person has, right? That's what Chazal say. Ezu Osher, who's a rich person? Asamech bechelko. The rich person the truly rich person is the person who is satisfied with his portion, meaning as long as he has that feeling of satisfaction, he'll be rich. He's satisfied. He's not looking for anything more than what he has, right? So he'll be satisfied. His mind and his heart won't be preoccupied with ways and means of trying to gain more material wealth or anything else that's involved with what he wants to get. That he's happy with what he has now, and it's not necessary at all for him to look further. But if he's not going to be in control of his midos, of his personality traits, so he's forever a slave to what his desires commanded to try and desire and to try and receive. And he'll have as much money as there possibly could be. If he's not going to be in control of his personality traits, he'll always be dissatisfied, and he may even come to steal. So therefore, even in giving the gifts and the pledges, the contributions to the Mishkan, right, which was a very holy task, a very, very holy task, and they were very rich and wealthy, all of the people there in the Midbar, and so there's no apparent need to steal from anybody else. But nevertheless, a person, as the Rashis are pointing out, as the Psukim are indicating, there need to be kaporos, there need to be achatas offerings, because there could be, as Rashi explained, according to the Torah's Kohanim, the Medrash, there could be somebody that in the time when it came to give the contributions for the building of the Mishkan, they could have given either, like Barry suggested, maybe b'shoigig, maybe it was unintentional. Either they stole something intentionally, or they gave what was stolen unintentionally. But nevertheless, they gave something that was stolen. So that is the point that we're trying to make here. That just because they have the great wealth of those people who came out of Mitzrayim, never guaranteed that there wouldn't be any thefts, because theft is not totally on how much you have. Theft is totally it depends on who you are. Or you're a person who's going to be satisfied and not be interested in stealing, or you're not. And that depends not on how much you have, it depends on who you are and what your personality traits are like.
Right.
So that's a big lesson here.
Yeah, I mean that's the Robin Hood syndrome, you know. I mean, I personally never stole from anybody who didn't deserve it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Robin Hood, that's the way Robin Hood did, you know, steal from the rich, give to the poor.
You would have made a very good policeman, Barry. So in any event, so the goal is for us to try and perfect ourselves as much as possible, right? Try and come to realization of who and what we are, what motivates us. And if we see that we're motivated by the wrong things, or if our motivations are too extreme, to try and temper them. And the way we're supposed to temper ourselves and modify ourselves and grow in serving Hashem is through learning. You learn what's permissible, what's not permissible, and you have to learn the laws, and you have to learn Musar to try and guide you in the correct path, how to fulfill your obligations in life, not only in terms of the dry fulfillment of the actual laws, but also in terms of how you're supposed to try and perfect yourself to serve Hashem in the proper way and get along with other people. So, okay, Mitzvah Hashem, we'll take a time for Bez Hashem Erev Shabbos and Shabbos, and we'll look forward to seeing you all on Yom Rishon, Bez Hashem.
Yom Rishon, okay. Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, thank you.
Shabbat
Good
Shalom.
Shabbos to everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Thank you, Yechiel. You should be well. Barry and Lou, Roy, everyone have a good Shabbos.
You and your family. All
Thank
of
you.
us.
Shalom.
Okay, bye-bye.